This video is going to cover section 10.5, which is on fetal circulation. And there's a few differences in circulation of the fetus before birth that we want to take note of. And there's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, before birth, the lungs are not functioning, and so there's no point on blood being directed to the lungs before birth. And so there's a couple of structures that prevent that from occurring. But also, blood needs to travel to the placenta, and so that's essentially that's the lifeline for the fetus before birth. And so blood has to be directed to the placenta before birth. So in order to bypass the lungs, what happens is blood will pass directly from the right atrium into the left atrium through the foramen ovale, which exists between the atria. So this means that blood will not flow into the right ventricle and get pumped to the lungs. So the blood just stays on the left side of the circulation to be pumped throughout the body of the fetus. Um, After birth, generally speaking, the foramen ovale closes up, um, but in a number of people, this remains open, but it's usually pretty small. And also, generally speaking, when the atria contract, and then it actually closes that opening as well. So it's usually not a problem for most people. But if any blood does enter into the right ventricle and is pumped in the pulmonary trunk, then it is shunted directly into the aorta by the ductus or arteriosus. And so that's another way of keeping blood from flowing through the lungs, where it really doesn't need to go before birth. So you have those two structures, the foramen ovale, and you have the ductus arteriosus. And after birth, then generally speaking, the ductus arteriosus just simply disappears. And as we mentioned, the foramen ovale closes up. So that brings us to the placenta, and the circulation of the fetus has to go to the placenta, where the exchange of gases and nutrients between the mother's maternal blood and the fetus's fetal blood takes place. So the umbilical vein, then it carries the nutrient and oxygen-rich blood to the fetus, and then also at the placenta, the umbilical arteries taking blood to the placenta, the mother's blood circulatory system will uptake the waste products, as in urea and CO2, to eliminate those waste products as well. So the placenta, it fulfills a vital role. It allows nutrients and oxygen to be delivered to the fetus, as well as it gets rid of waste products as well. Here's a diagram of a couple of the structures that we were talking about. So first of all, we have the foramen ovale, which is the opening between the right atrium and the left atrium. So that exists there, and then you have the ductus arteriosus, and as we mentioned, this is a shunt between the pulmonary trunk and the aorta. So that allows blood to bypass the lungs in the fetus before birth. And then looking down at the placenta, then we have the umbilical arteries, which bring blood, and this would largely be deoxygenated blood, to the placenta, where the blood can pick up oxygen and pick up other nutrients like glucose and other things, and also eliminate CO2 and urea. And so then that is taken up by the mother's circulation. Then if we just look a little more closely at the placenta, the placenta is attached to the wall of the uterus by the allantois. The allantois is um, a membrane type of structure that's produced by the developing fetus, and then also with the chorionic villi. And so it's important to note that this functions only before birth, and it becomes part of the afterbirth when the child is born. And so, as we mentioned, it's involved in gas, nutrient, and waste exchange between the circulation of the fetus and the mother. And so the umbilical cord, it contains the umbilical arteries and vein, and that transports waste to the placenta and takes oxygen and nutrients to the fetal circulation. So here's more of a close-up diagram of the placenta. And so here you can see that the chorionic villi, they come in close proximity with the maternal blood vessels, and so we have the umbilical arteries, which bring oxygen nutrient poor blood to the placenta, where the blood can pick up the nutrients that it needs, or that the fetus needs, and then get rid of waste products. And then we have the umbilical vein then, which takes oxygen and nutrient-rich blood throughout the circulation of the fetus.